Hey everyone, I'm Lauren and welcome back to my channel. Hi, if you're new here, this is Light and Lavender where we talk about all things books and my own writing journey. Today I'm going more along the writing side of things by doing the Authortube Newbie Tag. I know, I love a tag video, I can't help it. If I see one and I like the questions, I'm just going to chuck myself into it and just get those answered because I just love giving answers to questions. As always, the questions are on my phone just because I am absolutely awful and cannot remember them. I also do not want to print them out and have them in front of me as like sort of show notes. So if I'm looking at my phone while saying the question out loud, that's why. There are 13 questions in total for the Authortube Newbie Tag. I feel like I can get away with doing this, even though I've been making videos again for the past, I think it's 5 months now. I've not really done much sort of Authortube stuff. I've never really delved into that side of YouTube, and I think that it'd be interesting to give my thoughts to this and also to just put it out there, like the sort of author stuff that I actually want to do with my life. I think some of the questions might not link directly to me, or I might not have thought about them, but again, I never pre-plan these. It's just here's a question and here's my immediate response. So without further ado, here are the 13 questions and answers to the Authortube Newbie Tag. Question 1. How did you find out about Authortube? This is actually a sort of interesting one. I stumbled across it by accident one day. I don't know what it was. There was something in my YouTube recommendations, I think, I want to say about 2.5 years ago. I got a recommendation for Alexa Dunn's writing craft Authortube channel, and I can't remember which one it was. It was like one of her first videos. I think it might have been something to do about like getting more time to write, and I fell into that and I started watching them for ages. Then because I'd started watching Alexa's videos, I think about maybe 8-9 months ago, I started getting recommendations for iWriterlist, and I'm now following Meg over there, and also now I've got Jenna as part of that, so it's just like a slowly spiralling circle down into Authortube, and I am really enjoying it. It's interesting to see the different sides of crafts, the different bits of helpful information, and just how people are going through it themselves. I think I like the sort of writing vlogs or updates as to where the writing is going. Oh, I'm also following Mandy Lynn as well. I'm going to leave links to all these people because I do think they're really good. Oh, and the Courtney Project. Oh, how can I forget her? I love the Courtney Project, one of my favourite Authortube channels, and she's got like so few subscribers. It is like, I don't even understand how she's not got any more subscribers, because the information she puts out is just beyond helpful. So yeah, I'll leave links to all these people down below so you can go check them out yourself. But it kind of was just a small, slow fall into Authortube rather than anything that I was actively searching out at the time. Question 2. What genres do you write in? The main genre that I find myself writing in is fantasy. I've always loved fantasy. Fantasy has been the genre that I've grown up with. I've been reading it since I was tiny. My mum used to read the Chronicles of Narnia to me as a kid, and then I read the Harry Potter books, and then I've read Terry Pratchett's books, and I've read Raymond Feist, David Eddings, George R.R. Martin. Just fantasy has just been like that sort of genre area for me, which meant that every time I've been inspired to write something, it does fall within that sort of realm and area. I have got a science fiction novella that I've been working through, but the 2 most recent ideas that I've had have definitely fallen within the fantasy realm, although I do have a couple more like science fiction ideas as well. But I think because I've always really enjoyed reading sci-fi and fantasy, sci-fi and fantasy is the genre that I've just found myself writing in because it's the one that I'm most used to and the one that I'm most accustomed to from being a reader. Question 3. What is your preferred writing tense, point of view and category of story, i.e. children's, YA, new adult, and all that jazz? Usually, I think this depends. So my first piece of work, which is not finished, I feel like that idea in itself is one that needs a better writer to do it. It's changed a lot since I started it when I was 14, and the characters have aged as well. So the first stuff that I started to write was 3rd person past tense, your standard style of fantasy book, but recently I've been writing more in a 1st person point of view. I'd say it's sort of like present past or past simple, like it's just happened. It's less flowery, less descriptive, more abrupt and direct. I think I mainly write adult, maybe young adult. I know it depends on the character age. So my novella, I think, is adult. My fantasy that's half done is young adult. And the ideas that I've recently had, I think one of them is young adult and the other one I'm not really sure on. I've not got that much ideas fleshed out for it. I think it depends on what I've been reading a lot of. So if I've been reading a lot of young adult, my writing style tends to reflect that because it's what I've been most used to. Whereas if I've been reading a lot of adult books, then the writing style reflects a more adult and mature audience. So I think it just depends on that information as well. So I've been reading a lot of young adult, which is making it really difficult to get out of that sort of, I wouldn't say overly simplistic sentence use, but the sort of more toned down version. Whereas if I read Raymond Feist, then I'm gonna start writing like crazy long sentences that are like 50-60 words and take up a full page. So I think it depends. I think young adult and adult is where I'm most comfortable writing. I've never tried writing for kids or doing middle grade or anything like that, so it's not something, I wouldn't rule it out in the future, but at the moment it's not something that I'm going to be writing. Question 4. Are you a plotter, pantser or a plantser? This is an interesting question because I've always seen myself as a pantser. I don't plan things, I just go with the flow. I have a spark of an idea and I just like tumble through the idea with that and try and get it try and formulate a novel around it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. I have like scenes and paragraphs and like bits of character description dotted through my entire life in notebooks on my computer. But what I've noticed is the best way for me to write is to plan each chapter at a time. I don't have the overall plot. I have never done that, and it is something I'm trying to change. I do want to see how it would work for me to plot out the main points within the story that it has to hit and then try and see how the characters work to that. But I don't have the characters fully sort of planned out. I don't have the personalities fully down. I will let the story dictate how they react to things and then move it along. So my novella, I've realised that my character is quite maternal in a certain sense, so she does try and look out for other people and she does like to be protective. She's got that quality to her, but she's also quite reactive. So the maternal side is from the fact that she's reacting to the situations rather than maybe that she is quite as maternal. So it's more that she's just got this protective personality where she has to make sure other people are fine and she will sort of hide if there's any issues with herself so that it doesn't cause fear or upset to the people that she's travelling with. But I would definitely rule out being a plotter. I do not plot everything. I don't have every single detail panned out. Like I said, I do plan chapters sometimes, so my young adult fantasy has the chapters, so each chapter starts and I've got a couple of bullet points of how I want the chapter to roll and how I want it to progress compared to the previous chapter or the previous character point. It doesn't change POV as such because it's third person, but it does change focus throughout the story because there's a few sort of main characters around there. One of the things that surprised me with that is that 2 relationships that have sort of like sprang about, the characters have decided this on their own. They've sort of, the way that the words are intertwining and the weaving of it, they have made themselves attracted to each other, and I'm not going to stop it. I'm going to leave it to do its thing because I feel like it's an interesting element that's been added into the story. But yeah, definitely did not plan for that at all to happen. Question 5. Are you a self-published, published or yet to be published author? So technically I am yet to be published, but I have had pieces of work published in the past. One of the things that my school did was to enter local poetry competitions or submit poems into books for kids aged, I think, 5 to 11. So I have had 2 poems published in books that the schools could buy. I'm not sure, I know I've got copies of them somewhere, but I don't know what's happened to them. and they were sort of, we sent them off, and I think everyone's poems got published in that. And then I won a poetry competition when I was 10, and I had my work published in a book created by the University of Sheffield. So technically I have had some work published, but it's not something that, I don't think anyone can buy it. So it is there, but it's not something that anyone can go out and buy. But I am hoping to have got some work published in the next year or so. I have potentially changed my plan on what I want to do with that, but the plan is still there. Question 6. What publishing company, literary agent and or printing company are you represented by or use? Or if you're not yet published, which ones are your dream companies, agents to use? I don't think I have any dream agents or publishing houses. It's not something that I've ever thought of. I've always wanted to have books published, but I've never had a specific imprint or a specific publishing company that I would love to have my books published with. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of any that might potentially pick up the work that I write. At one point I did want to get published by HarperCollins, but this was because I was part of a invite only, well, it started off as an invite only website called Inkpop. People were invited to join and put their work on there, and then every month there was a top 5 voted most read books, and HarperCollins would actually review those, and I'm pretty sure some people got publishing deals from that. So at one point I did really want to get represented by, well, have my work published by HarperCollins, but I think now I'm more edging towards a self-publishing route, just from all the information that I've seen. I think sometimes the books that people have inside them, or the books that are written, are not aimed towards the current market or current trends, but would still be popular. So I think I just have a few ideas that maybe potentially wouldn't be picked up by a publishing house, or at least I would need to have got a few books behind me with a literary agent and publishing before I could write the ideas that I've got. I'm not sure if I could write to the market as such. I don't want to go self-published with the aim of trying to be traditionally published, but I think that for me self-publishing would be the better option, because I've just got a little bit more control over things. I think it will be harder, but I feel like that's more of the route that I want to go down at the moment, but I'm not entirely sure what my dream sort of publishing houses would be. I'm trying to think of who has published books that I like. I don't know what the English publishers are. So I know that Tor publishes books for Brandon Sanderson, so if I could have anything published, it would be great to be published by a house that already deals with books in the sort of realm that I enjoy reading and I also enjoy writing about, so that would be really cool, but I can't think of any on the top of my head. Question 7. What Authortube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? So I'm not going to go out here and start doing writing craft videos or tips or tricks or things that I think you can do to help improve your own writing, because let's face it, I've not got anything published. I have not got that sort of experience behind me to be able to give that information out without feeling like a fraud. So currently the Authortube stuff that I will be putting out here and the writing that I will be putting out here will be updates on my writing, updates on my publishing journey as it is, information as to how to find cover designers, editors, if you should set yourself up as a business or go self-employed. A lot of the self-published Authortube that I do watch is very American focused, so it has a lot of information about how to deal with American taxes and things, but there's nothing UK side, so I would like to put that information out there so that there's a little bit more information for any UK aspiring self-published indie authors out there. It's not something that I've been able to come across quite easily either on Authortube or on podcasts, so I think putting that information out there would be beneficial, and also I can do a sort of trial and error of don't do what I've done if something goes wrong. Question 8. When did you start writing? Oh, I have been writing, I think I was 9. I think I was 9 when I first started trying to write my first story. It wasn't very good. I put clip art in the middle of my writing. I did have a really cool chapter symbol though. I remember that, but I did actually put like a picture of an owl in the middle of the writing. I think it was like the first computer we had, so I was blown away by the fact that we'd got a computer, and I just wanted to try things out, but I was trying to write as well. I've wanted to write since I was really small. I think stories have always like pulled me in, so I have been writing for years, and I've just never written consistently enough to get as much writing done as I've wanted to, which we've all been there. Question 9. What was the first story you ever wrote? So the first one that I wrote was when I was 9, and it was based on witches and wizards, and I think I included maybe 5 big plot points in the space of 2 chapters. It wasn't very well written. It's still quite funny, just from seeing the imagination of a 9-year-old try and create this, but I never actually finished that. I can't remember how many pages I got through with that one, but it was I think even I knew that it was a done thing. It's on a floppy disk somewhere, which is showing my age that my first story was on a floppy disk. I think my mum still has it, so if I ever get a floppy disk reader, I might actually put it on my computer and try and just try and read what I wrote, see if there's anything that can be taken from it, but I don't think it's a story that I will ever publish or will ever see the light of day. It'd just be for my own personal reread. Question 10. What authors have inspired your writing the most? I think this one depends on what I've been reading most of. So when I was younger, I read a lot of like boarding school fiction. So I read The Chalet School by Eleanor M. Brent Dyer. I read Mallory Towers, I think that's Enid Blyton. Was there another one? I think there were the main 2, but the Chalet School book series, there is 62 books in that. The books are no longer in print, and I think we managed to get about 35 of these books. Yeah, so I read a lot of boarding school fiction, so I was trying to write my own at one point, which didn't go well, and then I fell into a Terry Pratchett sort of spiral, so that sort of dry sense of humour, I'd call it a very British sense of humour. I tried to incorporate that into my stories with that sort of like fantastical element of things. Then Raymond Feist, which is like a portal fantasies type. It's portal fantasy with magic, dragons, elves. I can't remember much else, so I've not read that for ages, but that inspired my young adult fantasy, which is also a portal fantasy with elemental magic in it. And then there's Brandon Sanderson, George R.R. Martin, Sharon Penman. I've sort of like got a mix of historical fiction, fantasy writers. I think that is those are my main influences. I'm inspired by different ideas, and I try and not steal, but try and like pull them together and weave them into what my own imagination is trying to bring out, my own creativity. But yeah, those are my main inspirations. Question 11. Do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? I try to schedule writing sessions, but I'm not very good at sticking to it, so what I have to do is, if I feel like writing, I just have to write. I can't put it off, I can't wait 5 minutes, I just have to like write, sit, write, do it now, and get it over and done with, because otherwise I will just push it off. I will just put it off until there's nothing left and I've got no more time to write, and then I'll sort of beat myself up because I want to write but I've put it off. It's like a weird sort of spiral that I've fallen down into. I would like to be able to plan out sessions to write and to stick with that, but around my full-time job it's not something that I've been able to manage at the moment. Hopefully I will be able to schedule time better rather than just 10-15 minutes snatched here or there. Question 12. Do you type on a computer, typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those, and where do you write in general? So I like to write out my first draft by hand, which may seem odd, but I like to be able to just scroll the words out, get them down, and then when I type it up, my first draft isn't really a first draft, it's more like a draft 0 or a draft 0.5, and then when I type it up I go through, tweak things, stitch things together, maybe sort out some sentence flow where it didn't quite work, like that sentence, and just get it to a sort of like first draft level where it's there, some of the plot points are like tied in together instead of just hanging around doing nothing, review information. But then I do also write notes up on the computer, so it is kind of like I am blended between that, so I do computer notes and handwritten notes. I do love the element of handwriting the books out or my ideas out, and I have quite a few bits of story written around in notebooks which have been incorporated into Word documents now, but they are still like dotted around the house. Usually I write at my desk, so even if I am writing in a notebook I will sit at my desk and do it. Sometimes I'll sit on the sofa and just like prop it up on my knee and make notes. I think it depends on when inspiration strikes really. I do like taking my notebook with me when I'm travelling because it's easier than taking my laptop, so I can carry on writing whilst I am away. So I do like to write on planes. I really enjoy writing on planes. I just get like a burst of inspiration when I'm flying somewhere. Not so much on the return journey, but definitely on the way out I will write quite a few hundreds to thousands of words on a plane, but usually it is at my desk. So it turns out there is a time limit on my camera, and it cut off filming for this video at 29 minutes and 50 seconds. That is not how long the video in total is going to be, but that was my filming. So because of that it missed out the last question, so I'm just going to do a quick refilm of that now, and I hope that I can remember what I actually said the first time round. Question 13. What are you most looking forward to now that you're a part of Authortube? I think to me the thing that I'm most excited for is to share my own writing experiences, to get to talk about writing. I don't have a lot of people who I talk to about writing or about my own writing, so it'd be nice to be able to share some bits of information on my channel about that, and also being able to help people. I know that I don't have a lot of experience in publishing or self-publishing or being an author, but I think that documenting my own trials and tribulations of how I've got there will be a great way to be able to help other people starting. Like I said before, there's not a lot of UK based authortubers from what I can see or what I've found so far. Everything seems to be very US focused, so I think having that sort of voice from the UK as well will go a long way to providing information that people like me are looking for, whether that's do I start a business or stay self-employed, or should I use a pen name, or what's the best way to get this editing done, or just little things like that. And I think it'd be really beneficial and useful, so that's what I am looking forward to here on Authortube. So that is the Authortube Newbie Tag done. Another tag video to check off the list. I hope you liked the answers that I gave to these questions. If you do have any more questions that you want to ask me around writing or books in general, then drop me a comment down below. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a like and a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And if you want to see more videos from me, whether that's my Authortube stuff or my booktube stuff, don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. There is a new video out every single week, usually on a Sunday, and we also have extra videos posted out if I've potentially got too many ideas and I don't want to leave it a few weeks before I post something. I hope you're all well and you're all staying safe, and until next time, bye!